Both Carnell Tate and Keldric Faulk were dealing with injuries at Tennessee Titans training camp on Wednesday, but Titans fans should not be concerned, and I'll explain why on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. On today's show, I'm going to break down everything you need to know coming out of Tennessee Titans practice on Wednesday. We're going to talk about Kevin Winston continuing to break out even if everyone is mad at him. We're going to talk about Cam Ward cooking with his veteran wide receivers, and we got to start with one of the reasons that Cam Ward was focused on his veteran wide receivers, and it was the absence of the Tennessee Titans first-round picks, including Carnell Tate and Keldric Faulk. And we start with Carnell Tate, who missed practice entirely on Wednesday, and Robert Saleh said afterwards it was stiffness. And a lot of people were thinking back to the hit that Carnell Tate took at the end of practice on Monday. It was a move the ball period, 4th and 8. Cam Ward throws the deep ball down the sideline. Carnell Tate goes up, creates contact himself with Kevin Winston, according to the reports, makes the catch. It's a highlight play. It's awesome, but Carnell Tate gets up a little slowly. Maybe he was a little dizzy coming up after the impact, all of that, blah, blah, blah. So people are thinking, oh, Carnell Tate missed practice because of that. But Robert Saleh said that was not the reason that Carnell Tate missed practice, and it was just general stiffness. He is a rookie. All right, this is probably the most demanding part of his football career right now, going through an NFL training camp that's grueling against NFL-level athletes. Coming off of, remember, Robert Saleh did not have the rookies participate in rookie minicamp because he recognizes that the lead up to the NFL draft is not like typical football training, and it doesn't have those guys where they need to be. So it makes sense with how important Carnell Tate is to this team and to this offense as the number one wide receiver, that the Titans would want to be patient and be conservative with the rookie, especially with the Seattle Seahawks coming to town on Friday and then on Sunday, and with the Titans starters expected to play a ton during that preseason game. Okay, so you're going to be conservative with Carnell Tate, but I don't think it's anything to worry about at all. Again, Robert Saleh called it stiffness. Every reporter that you want to listen to locally is saying that they've heard that Carnell Tate's injury is not that big of a deal. At this point, I don't even want to call it an injury. Carnell Tate just getting a little bit of rest from training camp. If he doesn't participate in Friday's joint practice or Sunday's preseason game, then we can wonder what's going on. Then the level of concern, I think, can heighten just a little bit. But right now, there's truly no reason to be worried based on all of the messaging coming from the team. Now, Keldric Faulk has a little bit more worry. I don't think the Titans fans should freak out or panic or anything like that, but there's definitely a little bit more concern with Keldric Faulk. The Titans' talented first-round edge rusher left practice early on Wednesday with a shoulder injury. Basically, every outlet at this point has reported that it was a shoulder, upper right arm. He walked off with trainers. Now, Robert Saleh, again, like he was with Mitch Trubisky, like he was with Carnell Tate early, said that he thinks it's just a stinger for Keldric Faulk and that, he's optimistic. Well, I hope that he's right, because the Titans need Keldric Faulk. So if the head coach of the football team is saying that he thinks it's just a stinger and it's all right, who am I to worry? He certainly has more information than I do on Keldric Faulk's injury situation, even if his is, a little bit limited as well. It's still better than what we're going off of. And it's early in the year. We're in the middle of training camp. I have been saying that we need to be patient with Keldric Faulk. We need to let him develop. He's probably not going to be as impactful immediately as a lot of people want first-round picks to be, just because of everything that's changing, the scheme, the technique, his approach to the game based on what they asked him in Auburn and what they're asking him to do now, all incredibly different. So I don't think the Titans should have relied too heavily on Keldric Faulk out of the gate anyway, just with all of that context. But I don't know if that's where the Titans are at. I mean, before the shoulder injury for Keldric Faulk, he was running a ton with the first team. And with Jacob Martin and John Franklin Myers being banged up over the last couple of days, week, he's gotten even more opportunities to run with the first team. I can sit here and tell you that the Titans need to be patient with Keldric Faulk. I can tell you that we need to be patient with how we judge Keldric Faulk. I can give you all the context, but he's a first-round pick. And I don't think the Titans pass rush is going to be very good on the edge. And he's somebody who represents some hope there. And I don't think that the patience that he deserves is the patience that he is going to get. But I do think that this will be something that keeps him out for the next couple of days. Even if it's just a stinger, even if he just dislocated the shoulder and it got popped back in and there was no ligament damage, no rotator cuff, no shoulder significant injury, blah, blah, blah. Even if it's nothing like that, he's going to be sore. He is going to be sore. And a rookie who's going to be important by the end of the season, it's a joint practice, it's a preseason game. Now is the time for the Titans to be a little conservative and be a little patient. I don't think it's anything to worry about. Again, that's the theme here, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve a little bit of cautiousness from the Titans and how they approach it. Now, those were the two big rookies, but Nick Singleton missed practice again on Wednesday. The rookie running back out of Penn State missed practice on Wednesday, missed practice on Monday as well. Now, on Monday, Robert Saleh said that it was just rest for Nick Singleton. And that makes sense. Again, he's a rookie. First NFL training camp, and he got a lot of work the last couple of sessions, I'll say, including joint practice against San Francisco, the preseason game. He is the starting running back for the preseason. Tony Pollard will get a couple of carries. They shouldn't overwork Tony Pollard, though. Tajay Spears has been injury-prone his whole career. They don't need to overwork Spears. Nick Singleton should get a couple of carries with the first-string offense, should get all of the carries with the second-string offense, and maybe get worked in a little bit with the third-string offense. That is a lot of work for a young player. So, to me, what it feels like is they know that Singleton is going to get a lot of work in the joint practice and in the preseason game. He's going to get enough work for the week out of those two sessions. So, why are we going to burn him up in these just team practices? That's not what they're doing. And I remind you, Nick Singleton is coming off of a foot surgery that led to him dropping in the draft a little bit. So you don't need to overwork him. And we know, like with Derrick Henry's, that is a load management injury, the feet. Your feet just can't take too much. You know what I mean? So let's be careful about Nick Singleton, just like I feel about Keldric Faulk. We can afford to bring him along a little bit slowly. So let's be cautious there and be smart about these young players. But with some of these young players being out of practice, some other veteran players stepped up, especially on offense, where Calvin Ridley had a pretty good day. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a homer in their next game. And if you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games. Whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on a matchup across the league, every game has someone capable of going deep, and now you get your chance to make your prediction before the first pitch. As I do every episode, I'm rocking with one of my Cincinnati Reds. Let's go with my boy Sal Stewart. the rookie, one of the better rookie seasons that the Reds have seen. Are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, we talked about the rookie injuries that the Titans are dealing with, but I do not think that they are a big deal. Now, want to move into more notes from Wednesday's practice where veterans stepped up on the offense, especially at wide receiver. We're getting more info on the offensive line. We're going to talk about some young defensive players breaking out at the end of the show. Before we continue, though, do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. Speaking of every day, tomorrow we're going to have a preview of joint practice scrimmage against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm obviously going to preview the game as well, go live after the game, and have a bunch of content for you guys next week, not only here, but on the Titans Hit channel, the Tic Tac Titans Film channel. I literally have you covered whether you want short content, full-length podcasts, film breakdowns. I am the one to go to, so make sure that you stay locked in with the number one Tennessee Titans podcast in the world, Locked On Titans. But with all of that preamble out of the way, got to do a little bit of promo here on the free podcast, but Cam to Wan'Dale Robinson was absolutely cooking in Wednesday's practice, and it makes sense. No Carnell Tate. Other people got to step up. Cam Ward's got to look for other options. And I think I saw, it might have been Jim Wyatt's report. I forget exactly who it was, but 8 catches in a 2-hour practice. And 45 minutes to an hour of that is individual periods, special teams, stretch, warm up, all that stuff. So we're talking about like an hour and 15 minutes of 7-on-7s, team drills, all the different stuff they're doing. It was the Wan'Dale Robinson show. And as a reminder, we can talk about Carnell Tate all we want. Wan'Dale Robinson's going to lead this team in catches if everybody stays healthy. And it might not be close. I think Carnell Tate could have a season very akin to Alec Pierce. 800, 900 yards, 50 to 60 catches, somewhere in there, 4 to 5 touchdowns. That would be a great year for Carnell Tate. Wan'Dale Robinson could have 90 catches for 800 yards. You know, it's just going to be a different situation catch-wise with what they're asked to do. Tate is going to be explosive. His yards per catch is going to be high. Wan'Dale Robinson's is going to be low. Now, Robinson started doing a little bit more vertically last year, and we know that Cam Ward wants to push the ball down the field vertically. So I don't think that Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be checked down Charlie completely or anything like that, but make no mistake about it. Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be catching those short to intermediates, those keep the chains moving, those stay ahead of the chains plays. That's Wan'Dale Robinson. And some of these RPOs with quick bubble, quick out, sit down route, quick crosser, that sort of stuff, Wan'Dale is going to crush on those. He's just going to crush on those. So good to see that connection, that chemistry is really where we want it to be. Like there is no doubt in my mind that Cam Ward and Wan'Dale Robinson have great chemistry going right now on all those little option routes, RPOs, choice routes, stuff like that. But Calvin Ridley stepped up with multiple catches on the day. Had a couple of big-time catches on some bigger plays, had a quick out route as well. Calvin Ridley stepping up with Carnell Tate out. And, you know, my expectations for Calvin Ridley dropped by the day, if I'm honest with you. Alec Iomanner, I think, has proven in training camp that he's the better player. He should get either equal or more opportunities than Calvin Ridley. But Calvin Ridley is still a contributing player. Calvin Ridley's still going to be able to help the Tennessee Titans with veteran depth and make plays. And like we saw against San Francisco, that quick little drag route, catch the ball, get upfield. Like Calvin Ridley is going to have his place in the offense. And I think while we focus on the young players like Carnell Tate, Alec Iomanner, having Calvin Ridley around as a quality NFL wide receiver who may not be in his prime anymore, That's still very helpful. And on a day where Carnell Tate is not out there, it's a friendly reminder that the Titans do have good depth. Like, the Titans have good depth at wide receiver this year. So when people do get banged up, we miss this guy for a couple of weeks, that guy for a couple of weeks, but which is inevitably going to happen. The Titans have enough players right now to totally withstand any absences. Like, if Tate were to go down, throw in Ioman, or if Ridley were to go down, throw in Ioman, or if Wan'Dale were to go down, that would be more difficult, but they have Chim DK, Calvin Ridley who could play there, Xavier Restrepo as well. You know, you have Chim DK in the mix. It's not like, no matter who goes down or what happens, the Titans have a decent quality backup for that guy. And when was the last time you could say that about any spot on this roster, let alone the wide receiver position? So, again, I know nobody wants to see Carnell Tate out, but seeing the chemistry of Cam and Wan'Dale and Cam and Calvin be good to go and feeling that depth presence, that does make you feel a little bit better about where the Titans are at, especially at that spot. And that's how we should feel based on the talent of the group. Now, do want to shout out two young wide receivers here as well who deserve some pop. Haven't heard a lot from Tyron Montgomery throughout camp and OTAs and all that. Undrafted free agent wide receiver, former basketball player, older prospect, a lot to work on. But he made some plays with Will Levis in this practice on Wednesday. Had a slant over the middle, made some yak out of it, couple of catches, got an opportunity with the second team at one point in time. Hank Beatty as well, the undrafted free agent wide receiver out of Illinois. I have been saying for a while now, I think he's going to make the practice squad, and he could be the new Mason Kinsey if Xavier Restrepo were to make the team, of course. One of those guys. I don't know that Kinsey is going to make it to the practice squad, but maybe he does. They're allowed to keep 6 veterans, so they trust him there. But Hank Beatty is literally a perfect fit to be the practice squad slot wide receiver for Brian Daboll's offense. And he's been making plays. And he just catches the football. He gets open and he catches the football. The same things I say about Xavier Restrepo. Not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest. It doesn't matter. They get open, they catch the football. That will always have value in football. So shout out to the two undrafted free agent wide receivers, Tyron Montgomery and Hank Beatty, who both had good practices, or had a good practice on Wednesday. The last thing I want to talk about on offense. We know the starting offensive line now. We know the starting 5. Dan Moore, Peter Skoronski, Austin Schlottman, Fernando Carmona, J.C. Latham. Boom, we got it. So now the question remaining at offensive line is, who will be the backups? Are they going to keep 8? Are they going to keep 9? Who are going to get those spots? Well, we're getting a clearer picture. According to all reports coming out of camp, Jackson Slater has been practicing at center. Now, earlier this year, the coaching staff said, we think he can do both. He's going to get an opportunity to do both, but we're primarily going to give him an opportunity to compete for the starting right guard spot. Well, he lost. He did not win the starting right guard spot. So now that competition is over, now it's time to cross-train. And he's been playing at center. So Slater is playing at guard. He's been playing at center. I think I don't want to misattribute a practice report, but I also don't want to not credit for specifics. Like, I think it was Teron Davenport who said in his training camp notes that it was Slater was going drive to drive, play to play, switching back and forth, that they're trying to test him mentally on purpose by flipping him back and forth, position to position in the middle of a drive. I love hearing that for Jackson Slater, because Slater, as the backup center and as the primary backup guard, is the swing interior offensive lineman for years to come. He could grow into being the next Corey Levin, where if Slater does have to come in and play, yeah, he's not a quality starter, but you don't feel like you're screwed with Slater in either. That, to me, is a great path forward for Jackson Slater, is being that number 1 swing interior offensive lineman who can play center and play guard. And that sounds like what the Titans are training him for. Now, Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon at tackle. Apparently in practice, BCD was getting some first-team reps, Like they were mixing him in at right tackle, at left tackle, blah, blah, which is smart because they're trying. It doesn't mean that he's going to take Dan Moore or J.C. Latham's job. But what they're trying to simulate is, hey, what if one of our tackles got hurt? And we got to throw BCD in there. What does it look like? How does he do? Can he handle it? If he had to play against NFL level starters, can he handle it? And it sounds like he handled it pretty well. Had a big collision at the second level with either a DB or a linebacker and blew him out of the way. He looks good. He looks nimble. He looks mobile. He looks thinner this year than he did last year, but in a good way. He looks leaner, not thinner. Let's say that. He looks strong, mobile. I'm high on BCD as the swing tackle for this team, and I've been saying it since I watched the game tape, because you turn on the film, there is no question that Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon's the third best tackle on this team. It's not close. So I am not surprised to hear that things are starting to solidify. Now, who will be the next backups? They're going to have at least one more that will have 8 offensive linemen on the roster at minimum. Will it be Pat Coogan, who they continue to keep around and develop? Will the Titans want to keep multiple guards and keep Cordell Volson? Will they want to keep multiple tackles and keep Austin Deckles around just for a little bit of depth? I would prefer to have 4 offensive tackles, if it's me personally. So whether the Titans keep 8 or 9, who those players will be, Jackson Slater, Brendan Crenshaw-Dixon with the starting 5, I think that makes 7. So will it be Deckles? Will it be Volson? Will it be Coogan? Will it be Andre James? Those are the 4 guys who I think are battling for those 1 or 2 spots. And that 8, 9 still remains to be seen. But we're starting to know, where these roster spots are going to end up going. But with that in mind, there were some key veteran returns at practice on Wednesday to counteract some of the young guys missing out. And there were some young players on defense that have been balling out as well.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On at Saints podcast, and today's Locked On episode is brought to you by our friends at Basque and Lather. I've been using Basque and Lather's all-natural, 100% organic hair care products for my beard for a couple years now, and it's been a lifesaver because I used to have some bad beard care habits. I'm talking over-the-counter shampoo and the beard type stuff that created this brittle, scratchy, and uncomfortable beard that I just had to wear around all the time. But now the game done changed. Thanks to Basque and Lather, I got their beard care starter kit, which gave me shampoo, conditioner, oil balm, and their hair growth stimulator formula as well. And now my beard is full. It's soft but strong, and the confidence is on 10, and it's all thanks to Basque and Lather. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Basque and Lather. Go to baskeandlatherco.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's 20% off at baskeandlatherco.com, code LOCKEDON.
Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We talked about the injuries to the Tennessee Titans rookies. I wouldn't really worry about those right now. We talked about Cam Ward cooking with his veteran receivers and the offensive line roster math happening. Now I want to move to the defensive side of the ball, where some of the Titans' young defensive players are really starting to pop in practice, including Kevin Winston Jr., who nobody should be mad at, and I'm tired of hearing that. Before we cap things off, though, thanks again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, I just started a brand new channel called Locked On Titans HIT, H-I-T. It's 2 5-minute podcasts every day, multiple short videos. It pairs perfectly with the long-form podcast that this is on Locked On Titans. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed to both of those so you're covered all year round. But Kevin Winston, every single day, makes some kind of big play, some kind of wow play, and he did it again on Wednesday, covering one of the wide receivers. I think it was Chimdike down the sideline, ran over, knocked the ball away at the sideline. And look, he was the one who made the hit on Alec Iomanor, where everyone was worried about his shoulder. He was the one who got into the collision with Carnell Tate. Now he's missing practice. So everybody's like, Kevin Winston needs to calm down. He's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Kevin Winston needs to continue to play with his hair on fire. What you guys don't realize is when Kevin Winston is able to go 100% and hit somebody, when the Titans play other teams, he is going to destroy people. People are going to be scared to go over the middle because Winston is going to hit you. His range with his 6'3" frame and his 4.4 speed to play in the back end and roam and cover everything, that's what's happening on these collisions on the sideline. Kevin Winston is playing deep post safety in cover 3 or cover 4 match. And he's going all the way across the field on throws to the sideline and making plays on the ball. It's incredible range. And I go back to Robert Saleh's press conference after the Alec Io Manor collision. And Robert Saleh was like, Kevin didn't do anything wrong. As a matter of fact, it was an incredible play by Kevin Winston. So Titans fans are hearing collision, and they're like, oh, Kevin Winston, calm down, blah, blah, blah. But the coaches are seeing the plays in practice and going, oh, my God, what a play. You know what I mean? So, like, we need to have perspective here of, yes, you don't want Kevin Winston injuring the players, but I want Kevin Winston to be an absolute freak of nature. And that sounds like exactly what he's been. So you can be upset if you want, but remember in the back of your head that we're a few weeks away from you desperately wanting Kevin Winston to not only do that, but do it times 10. So Kevin Winston has been popping out there. He's making plays. All right, get excited for the second-year safety. But Anthony Hill as well. And I forget exactly who asked the question. One of the beat reporters asked Robert Saleh about Anthony Hill and him popping, and the game is slowing down for him. I think it was Teron Davenport from ESPN who had in his notes that Anthony Hill was routinely taking away the middle of the field from quarterbacks. Quarterbacks were looking to hit crossers, looking to go over the middle of the field, the in route, and Anthony Hill was taking it away and making them go elsewhere. If Anthony Hill can combine his tenacity, his physicality, and his athleticism, and combine that with a mental understanding of routes, of his coverage, of where to, we have an elite linebacker on our hands. Because physically speaking, Anthony Hill is one of the most gifted athletes at the linebacker position. He was probably the best athlete coming out of the linebacker position, at least out of like the top, his group of, I wouldn't include like Sonny Styles, who was an absolutely elite linebacker prospect from like a combine standpoint. But like in his group of, there was like CJ Allen right there and some other guys. Anthony Hill is a freak athlete. So if he can speed up on the mental stuff, like it sounds like he is right now in practice and continuing to make plays, he knocked a ball out from Wan'Dale Robinson that would have been a catch. Like, again, we continue to look at that linebacker spot with Cody Barton and be like, when are we going to start to see somebody unseat Cody Barton? It hasn't happened quite yet, but if Anthony Hill keeps doing what he's doing this week in practice, it's coming. It's coming. Now, the last things that I want to talk about here, John Franklin Myers, Jacob Martin back at practice. I don't think both of them were 100% full. Jacob Martin might have been full go in 11s. John Franklin Myers might have been a little side field during team and stuff like that. But this Titans defensive line was not good enough against San Francisco's backups. And they didn't have John Franklin Myers, and him and Jeff together is meant to be, the pairing that blows everything else, the domino effect for everything else on the team. Well, glad to have JFM back. Jacob Martin is more important than Titans fans want him to be, but he is very important. And having both of those guys back, we talked about Keldric Faulk maybe being banged up for a little while at the beginning of the show. Well, having JFM and Jacob Martin back, who are expected to be more important to the Titans rotation, which Keldric Faulk should pass Jacob Martin at some point during the season, but at least early on, that's good news. So good to hear that those veterans are back. And Tony Pollard back in practice as well, but the Titans just need to be smart about Pollard. We know who he is and what he can do. But with that being said, next time that I talk to you guys, we'll be previewing joint practices against the Seattle Seahawks. So make sure that you're with me there. That's going to do it for me today, though, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.